In this film, Cahit Arf is at your age. Do you want to be friends with him? Guys, I am Cahit Arf. I'm a world-renowned Turkish mathematician and scientist who made significant contributions to the world of mathematics. I'm quite a math lover. Would you like to know me better? I was born in Thessaloniki in 1910. Thessaloniki was one of the most beautiful cities of the Ottoman Empire at that time. When I was very young, my family decided to immigrate to Istanbul with the start of the Balkan Wars. Thus, I embarked on a pleasant journey towards that beautiful city where I would spend most of my childhood. However, I would not be able to stay in a certain place for a long time, and I would grow up in different cities of the country. I grew up lovingly in a disciplined family. In my lifetime, there was the concept of neighborhood boy. These children played on the street all day and did not care about their education. That's why my parents wouldn't let me play in the street. I used to design paper toys and make my own games. Over time, my highly intelligence caught the attention of my family, and they paid more importance to my education. During my primary school years, the name of the schools was Sultani. We always attended primary school in the first part of high schools. There were no separate primary schools as you attend now. They were all together. We shared the same garden with our sisters and brothers and spent time together during crowded breaks. While I was continuing my education in Istanbul, my family decided to move to Izmir. I started attending the 5th grade in Izmir Sultani. I told you, I'm a math lover, but I didn't show much interest in math lessons until the 5th grade of primary school. At that time, I loved grammar and took great pleasure in painting. As a child who experienced the War of Independence, I also joined reading articles about my homeland. It made me proud to read those days when we were victorious after fighting under very difficult conditions. Moreover, I was travelling through time through these articles. When I talked about War of Independence, the years of poverty and memory I lived with my family came to my mind. I was 9 years old. There was an open-air cinema where movies were displayed in front of our house. When the weather was very hot, we would go out on the roof and watch movies. One day, a French movie came to the cinema. I spoke French a little, but I couldn't understand what was being said. We had an older sister with us who translated the film. My parents said, "Look, if you learn French well, you can do it too." They were obviously trying to encourage me. I replied to them, "I will not learn a foreign language, because we will work so hard that they will learn from us, and we will make the discoveries." I really made discoveries for myself, but contrary to what I said, I learned many foreign languages with pleasure. When I was the 5th grade, I ran into a teacher, and my life changed. Thanks to my teacher, I loved mathematics, and I realized that mathematics is everywhere and in everything. Mathematics was life itself. This young teacher made me prove theorems which were a tall order and patiently told me if I failed. As time progressed, I began to solve problems better. I lived it so much that I was constantly thinking about mathematics, doing research and studies about it. When I started my high school education, I was solving problems that my classmates could not solve in mathematics lessons, and had them work on subjects they did not understand. This talent caught the attention of my parents and teachers, and then they sent me to France. With my hard work, I completed my high school education, which should have taken 3 years, in 2 years. After I finished school, I immediately returned to my country. At that time, they were sending students to Europe with exams to pursue higher education. Izmir Sultani also nominated me. After passing the exam, I went to France again and became a very successful student there. In France, I won the École Normale, where many scientists were educated. While I was studying at this school, the idea of searching for new things developed in me. At the same time, I started to deal with a problem that I could not solve for a long time. I couldn't manage to draw stars with a ruler and compass. Of course I was doing the same, but I couldn't feel comfortable with the stars I drew. Drawing stars was vital to me. If you ask why, because there was a star and crescent on our flag. I should have drawn it absolutely. I focused and researched on this subject. When I returned to my country from France, I had already resolved this issue and left it behind. As soon as I returned to my country, I started teaching at Galatasaray High School. I did everything I could to be a teacher who made my students love mathematics. Of course, among my students, there were those who loved mathematics and those who were not interested in it. This was very normal, because the areas we were all interested in could have been different. Always told my students, don't memorize math. Do it yourself and understand it. Some of my students would insist that math is hard. I would explain to them that mathematics is a matter of patience, and that it is necessary to understand it by discovering it, not memorizing it. Because it was easy to forget what was memorized, but it would not be possible to forget for a lifetime if you learned it by understanding. Years chased years. Now I had to take my education to one of the highest levels and to do a doctorate. With this in mind, I went to the University of Göttingen, Germany. Dear children, do you know I was going to become a world-famous mathematician with this decision I made? When I went to Göttingen, they asked me about the mathematics subject I wanted to study. When I said the topic I have chosen, it's very difficult, impossible, you are hasty, they answered. I was surprised, of course, but this answer made me even more enthusiastic. I did research on my chosen topic by myself. I read a lot, worked a lot, and exactly 1.5 years later, I brought the Hesse-Arth theorem to the science of mathematics. I just told you that I can't draw stars with a ruler and compass. Although I succeeded in this, I did many different studies on this subject, and I solved the same problems in geometry only with the help of ruler and compass. Since I couldn't draw stars, I didn't give up trying. You see, that is very important, right, dear children, don't you? I came down everything I couldn't achieve in my life. Never give up on anything and never give in. Of course, after my doctorate studies were over, I did not stop with the love of mathematics in me. I carried out a study that introduced me to the world of mathematics, which is referred to as the Arf invariant in the world literature. I never forget, I made a claim on the subject that was taught in a conference I listened to, and they asked me to prove my claim. Would you believe I was locked in my house for a week? I worked on the subject day and night. I finally proved it. The rings I have now proved are called Arf rings. In 1955, I was promoted to ordinary professor. In 1963, I became the first scientist board chairman of the Scientific and Technical Research Council of Turkey, TÜBİTAK. I put a lot of effort into the establishment and development of this institution. I won the TÜBİTAK Science Award in 1974. In the speech I gave while receiving the award, I said, "The aim of the scientist is to understand, but to understand in capital letters." Conferences on rings and geometry from 1984 and an international symposium on algebra and number theory held in my honor in 1990. Apart from these, my life has been filled with many honors and honor awards. I have never seen mathematics as a profession. I think math is a way of life. I am sure you all love to paint, sing, or listen to music. Mathematics is an art just like these. Years ago, if you're really looking for the secret of the universe, come to the numbers as I did, I said. People still share my words with love. Mathematics makes us feel infinity and limitlessness, and most importantly, it gives us happiness. I have been recognized and loved by the world for my contributions to the science of mathematics and my efforts to make people love mathematics. Metu Mathematics Department organizes conferences on my behalf every year. If you grow up to be interested in mathematics like me, I will be very happy if you attend these conferences. Dear children, now I want to tell you something that will surprise you. You know, you actually see me a lot. Yes, my portrait has been on the 10 Turkish liras since 2009. Right now, you can ask your family to show me my portrait on our money. Guys, all of my life have been a person against memorizing. I kept explaining the importance of understanding instead of memorizing. I continued my life with new ideas and solutions. When I was told, "This cannot be solved," I tried with all my might to solve it. Even though there were times when I couldn't solve it, I never gave up trying. Do not give up on working and addressing the problems that you see as unsolvable. Always think in capital letters. Love to you all.